It's time.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's the King of the Couch back in your ear holes for another week. In fact, another year of the world's greatest podcast, the King of the Couch podcast. I'm sitting here in my room, KOTC HQ. I'm feeling fucking good. I'm feeling vibrant. If you're listening at home, you can't see my hair, which is looking stunning. You can't see the shirt I'm wearing, which is absolutely to die for. But if you've got me on the YouTube, you lucky bastards. You're very, very lucky. That's all I can say. It's just, I'm just incredibly stoked right now. I feel so happy, feel so grateful to be able to do this show for another year. Well, whenever I want. I mean, contractually, I'm not held by any means. I'm not bound by any contracts. I get on here and do it myself and do whatever the fuck I want. So it's my show, and that's the way it works. But how are we all? It's, of course, episode 2 for 2022. This is, in fact, episode 125, I believe. Last week was 124. Sat down last week with my boy Nathan Smith, aka Smitty, aka the host of the Talkin' Smith podcast, and we chopped it up. So yeah, kind of just worked out that was my first show for the year. I had intended to do a solo one to kick the year off because let's be frank with you, I'm a kind of riding solo kind of individual. That's kind of my MO, you know. So, but I tell you what, I've struck up a bit of a love affair with Smitty, and we are going to be doing a podcast every month, basically for the year. So that's not that many. It's only 12 podcasts for the year, which might sound a lot to some, but not a lot to others. But I feel like we click well. I like his stick. I like his banter. He's just a top bloke, and I think for a while, subconsciously, I've been looking for someone to talk a bit of shit with, frankly, on the interwebs. And it just happens that comes in the form of a burly, somewhat hairy, quite hilarious Northern Irish man from the country. He drinks a lot of Buckfast, and he's just a pure animal on the mic. And that's what I love about him. And we resonate well. He calls me his future ex-husband, and I'll ping pong that back to him. I can relate to that. But anyway, enough about that. There'll be another episode on in a few weeks. But the King is back, and I've got a lot of shit on, a lot of plans on for 2022. Frankly, last year was a good year. We're going to do a bit of a mate. It's the King of the Couch. It's always a matzo ball, and we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff tonight. Maybe we'll touch on some goals. I think we'll do a bit of a recap of 2021. It was one of those years. Some people had a good time. I'm sure others had a harder time. I had a fairly good time. We'll get into that. I mean, you can't always be up, and you can't always be down. You shouldn't always be down. So it's ebbs and flows. You know what I mean? Pros and cons, benefits, drawbacks. Don't get too carried away with this. But very stoked to be on the mic. Episode 125, King of the Couch podcast. It's 9:13 p.m. on a Monday evening, the 17th of January, 2022. Okay, bit of housekeeping. If you're not already subscribing to the show, please subscribe. If you're not following it on Spotify or one of the things that you can follow it on, please follow it on. Go to YouTube, subscribe there. Do all the dings, the bells, the whistles, get all the notifications. And I tell you what, I'm always about paying it forward. Please pay it forward. It's important to pay it forward. Just recently, just doing the podcast with Smitty, we've been getting some unreal feedback. I think probably the audience is crossing over. I've been getting some feedback about him. He's been getting some feedback about me, and just us together. And it makes me feel good. You know, it makes me feel good that we've been exposed to new people on both sides, and it's really good. And people get a kick out of it. So pay it forward. I do it all the time, music, movies, whatever, things that I find on the internet, and people go, yeah, that's sick, I'm glad you sent me that, and vice versa. So please do that. And another thing, your boy, your big bad King of the Couch boy is 33 tomorrow. Me, this fucking boyishly good looks with the cool fucking shirt and all the pizzazz. I'm 33 tomorrow. Yeah, that's right. 18th of January is my birthday, 1989. For all you internet Nigerian scamsters out there, keep just taking my information down. You've built an online profile of me by now, I'm sure. But I'm 33 tomorrow. So if you love the show, if you even just like the show, and you like me, even if you love me, don't matter. But if you listen to the show, pay it forward by maybe drop me a comment or something online. It means a lot. I had a chat last week to Smitty off air, and while yes, we love doing the shows, it's awesome, and it's well and truly, pardon me, got a bit of a throat thing going on. There's a little thing called COVID getting around. I don't know. It does take a lot of effort to do these shows, you know what I mean? From all the bullshit, I'm not going to go on about it, but there's a bit to it. So if you could just honestly stroke my ego, if you know what I mean, stroke it by giving me a comment online, a public comment, or get on your Instagram and comment, screenshot something and send it. That would be good, because if I get more listeners, that means the world to me. Eventually, and I don't want to come across like a capitalist pig here, but we want to make some fucking Benjamins, bruh. So yeah, but honestly, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling ecstatic for someone that isn't drinking, for someone that's got obviously a bit of throat phlegm going on here. The shirt is going fucking bunter. I've let the holiday hair roll out. I've got this whole thing going on. This action. You can't see it audio things, but I'm stroking myself through the hairline. And I just feel really good about it. But anyway, let's go through it. We've got heaps to talk about tonight. I don't even know if I'm going to get through it all. I wanted to start the show by giving a big thanks and just running through all the guests that I had on for 2021. And you're probably going, mate, that's a lot of guests. Frankly, it wasn't. I rocked the majority of shows solo. As I said at the start of the potty, I'm a solo kind of guy. I actually, it's funny talking to Smitty about it. I keep bringing him up. It's like I'm in love with him. But he is big on the guests. He's done like 36 or 37 episodes, and the majority of those have been guest episodes. This is now my 125th episode, roughly, but there's probably a few more. And I've done the majority of them solo. I actually feel more comfortable doing the solo episodes. And that's not to say I'm not comfortable talking to the guests, because I fucking love doing the guest ones too, because I always learn something and it challenges me in different ways. But it's like my therapy session, so I kind of just like to get on here and just fucking blurt it out, spill it out, just explode, sit back like I've just orgasmed up, you know, after this hour of just, and I'm exhausted. You know that feeling when you've just done it, and you want to relax, and it's honestly, it feels like freedom in that moment. So if you haven't done it, try it. So yeah, that's the kind of thing. But I want to do more guest episodes this year. It's a bit of a challenge to myself. I've got it here on my list of goals. As you can see, we might run through those. That looks like a lot of goals. There's goals and ideas there too. Not that ambitious. But yeah, I wanted to just run through, highlight a few things we did on the show last year. Firstly, remember Fuck Yeah Fridays? I started a thing called Fuck Yeah Fridays. This is a new camera, by the way. I'm all over the shop here. Let me just sort it out. There we go. Fuck Yeah Fridays. We did that. I had an idea last year that I could do the Monday night show like I'm doing right here, whatever that would be. And then on Fridays, it was going to be a very, very short, almost 2 to 5 minute podcast, just to just sort of kind of like a Friday bump, if you will. Look, I'll be honest, I wanted to do more content and put more art. And it's not content. I don't make content. I make art. Wanted to make more art, right? And Friday morning, I thought, Monday you come off the weekend, people are a bit... So by Tuesday morning, they love the show. They're excited about it. Friday morning, with that quick, sharp fucking... the quickie down your ear holes, it was just going to be a thing like, hey, about, you know, I'm grateful for this. This is a new thing. Here's a taco recipe. Fucking enjoy your weekend. And that was kind of going to be the thing, right? But it was just one of those ones. It honestly it sounds crazy because I get on here and talk for like nearly an hour every Monday night, mostly an hour Monday nights, whatever it is. And I feel like it just goes and goes and goes. The Fuck Yeah Fridays was incredibly difficult to keep doing, because even though it was like a very, very minute thing, I was in a totally different headspace on a Friday morning, and not a bad one, a good one. But my daughter, you know, you want to see her grow up, and you got to give her breakfast, and you're doing the thing with your wife or wife-to-be, who knows? Maybe pop the question, features on the goal list. And it was just one of those things. So to get on here for 5 minutes on a Friday morning, I was just like, wow, I can't do this. But nevertheless, I had a bit of an idea, and I executed it. And I realized, you know what? I don't enjoy this as much as I thought I did. So apologies now for everybody that enjoyed that little segment. But there was some interesting stuff. I know I gave a fish taco recipe. There was stuff about gratitude, some band things like that. But yeah, really just dipped my toes in. Just looking at getting out of comfort zone, small wins. I talked about sex, happiness. So we did a couple of good ones. Thank you, music, delayed gratification, addiction, and fish tacos. What a fucking... accountability. We did that one too. So it's interesting. So yeah, look, I enjoyed Fuck Yeah Fridays for a little bit, and then it got too hard. So anyway, we did that. We fucked it off. But the message is that if you want to try something and it keeps coming up on your brain, on your radar, right? Fuck, for the life of you and everybody around you, just try it. If you try it and you don't like it, well, then you know, right? And if you try it and you like it, well, then you know too, right? So here you go. I'm doing motivational speaking come February. Fucking sign me up. But we had some guests. Firstly, straight off, first cab off the rank, the wizard himself, Jared Sukjai. Jared joined me for probably 4 to 5 podcasts last year. That was pretty interesting. We did a couple of footy ones. We did like Origin breakdowns. Stewie featured on some of those as well. But we did some conspiracy ones, like maybe like 2, 3, 4 conspiracy episodes. And then of course he had his initial episode, which I think was like late 2020. But yeah, got a lot of love for Jared. It was just one of those episodes that I felt like we're so different in a lot of ways, Jared and I, but we're so very similar in a lot of ways. And it's the differences of Jared that I really, really appreciate and respect as a human being. And of course, the things that we have in common are a fucking plus by that means. So Jared, naturally, I just wanted to get him on the show more, right? And people seem to enjoy him too with some of the feedback I got, which was great too. He's just got, I call him the wizard because the guy would literally come, like, so I got notes for tonight, but I generally don't have a lot of notes. Like, it's always just stuff. Jared would come in with like fucking 400 points, like, all right, cool, we're going to do the footy, breaks down every team. He's the wizard. He's the man, right? So it was just one of those things. But I naturally thought, you know what, this guy with his head, and it's a good looking head, let's be honest. I shaved head Jared, I love it, hits different. But it was just one of those things where I thought, you know what, he's interested in this and he's a thinker, and we agree on a lot of things and we differ on certain things, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. So Jared, I'm very, very excited for 2022 because as I mentioned late last year, we've got, come March when the footy season kicks off, we're going to be kicking off our sport show, Balls and All. So that will probably look like 1 to 2 episodes a month. Keep in mind, I'm going to be doing King of the Couch every week. I've got the Smitty episodes, and I've got a music thing that we'll get to very shortly because there's a first episode coming this week. So there's a fair bit happening. So that's what I meant by making more art. I've got a lot on my mind, and I've got to get it all out. So Jared, love you, mate. Thank you for that run last week. Catch up with this week. It's my birthday tomorrow, so we'll expect a birthday message. Next guest, Michael Macon from Seek and Destroyed Vintage. I've been following this guy for a little while. Remember he had sick as fuck band and more so wrestling vintage tees. So that's how he come on my scene. Just seemed like a cool dude. So I reached out to him and said, hey, you want to get on the show? And he's like, yeah, man, cool. The episode was sick, but the audio was a bit of a matzo ball. We had a bit of a fucking hard time. So I learned something there, right? There's probably a recurring theme here. I'm always learning. I'm always trying to fucking learn. My brain just keeps going. And I feel like if I'm learning, it's a better thing for us all. But he was just a genuinely good bloke. We got along real well. Before the podcast we were speaking, after the podcast we continued to speak. I probably speak to him maybe 1, 2, 3 times a week, just a bit of back and forth. Him and his mate Crooksy, who I don't know personally, like I don't even know Michael, that person. We've done a podcast. I'd never done a podcast with Crooksy. But they have a show called Who the Fuck Pod, kind of like Conor McGregor's shtick, right? And it's good. They do a lot of sport, a lot of MMA, a lot of UFC, a lot of boxing, all that sort of stuff. So if you're into the sport, go and check it out. And they've had a couple of really cool guests on so far. So the boys are doing real well. So I don't know if I molded him in any way, helped him in the podcast world any way, shape or form. But if I did, I'll take full credit for it. But nevertheless, top bloke. Really stoked to have him on the show. And we're hopefully going to cross paths in the next 2 months to do a UFC breakdown. KOTC fucking times who the fuck. So it's going to be good. Matty Gillespie, my old mate from high school that runs Scuba Snow Tours. Lovable bloke. Just honestly, a ball of energy and beers and just sometimes sexual aggression, but good sexual aggression. He's hairy. He's got a fucking retriever named Frank. He's a good dude. He's the kind of guy you want in your life. But no, got a lot of love for that man. And it was a great podcast because he lives in Japan. So it was technically my first international guest too. So shout out Matty G. But it was just, yeah, good to have him on. Even though he's like a mate, I felt like I learned something in that podcast, and it's good when people once they I can lube them up a bit and they just sort of let go and have a good time and talk on the show. It just goes wild. So that was one of my favorite episodes. We got a lot of listens on that, and we had such a good time. So Matty G, you're overdue for a phone call and potentially part 2. The people might want it. The next guest, how can I forget this one? Never, ever could forget her. Becky Wimsett, my partner, the other half, the better half. She featured on the 100th episode. So we're rocketing along. It doesn't sound like that long ago, but it feels like long ago. 100 episode, or I mean, 25 episodes more. It's crazy, right? But yeah, that was a great episode. If you've been listening since the get-go, I had Becky on the 50th episode. I had her on the 100th episode. She'll be on probably the 150th episode. We could be fucking giving birth by then. It might actually be live from the birthing suite, live stream, the mic, down that end, just fucking little baby. Actually, we could have 2 guests on that show. Might even get Arabella in for that show too. Just 150th episode in a few weeks, just fucking in the birthing suite. But that was a good one. It was always fun. It's always fun to sit in here with Beck, because this is my area. This is my zone, right? In here I can talk, and I can just go and talk. I don't know if that's not a language, but I can say the words that I need to say and keep going and going and going. I walk down to the couch, my other domain, and she's there, and I keep talking. She's like, "Can you shut the fuck up, please?" So it's good for her to get on the show and not to tell me to shut the fuck up on the interwebs. But love her dearly, and who knows? This year could be the year of the engagement. I don't want to make any bold statements online, because I've looked at rings, and frankly, they're a little bit more than I have in my wallet right now. So we'll get to the financial, plug at the end of the show. But if you feel like giving me money, do it. I'm welcoming wealth into my life this year. Positive affirmations. Let's go, people. But yeah, loved it. Beck's going to feature on the show again. It's always good. And again, a lot of feedback on that show. People related to it on a relationship level. It was good. Next guest, local lord, local legend, Nick Bellringer. That was, I can't remember how that one came about. We must have crossed paths one night, and he had a podcast. I don't know if they're still doing it anymore. I haven't seen it around in a while, but hopefully they get back to doing it, him and his mate Liam. And that was just one of those ones where I thought he was an interesting individual, and I wanted to talk to him, and that's how it went. So he's a good dude. Often run into him. I was doing a bit of work with him. I've sadly had to put it on hold for a bit. Just a few goals of mine have sort of taken over, and my focus is just not there. But still got a lot of love for him. He's doing great things. So if you are a Sunshine Coast local, and he's what did he call himself? A performance coach. Not to discredit him, because I didn't remember his title, but he is a performance coach. It's all part of the Czech Institute and all that stuff he does. It's a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to fucking butcher it. But if you're interested in movement, nutrition, good sleep, mental health, all that sort of stuff, breath work, affirmations, really, really good shit. Go and check him out if you're a Sunshine Coast local. Even if you're a Brisbane boy. I don't know, even if you're overseas, I don't care. Just check him out. Nick Bellringer. Next in the show, the lovely, lovely, lovely Moffat Beach legend, Esther Newman, the head honcho from the Pocket Espresso Bar in Moffat Beach. That was a good one. I'd been crossing paths with Esther for some time, living in Moffat Beach, and loved the Pocket. And it was just one of those ones I thought, she'd have an interesting story. Most of these guests, that I have on, I look at them, I talk to them, and I think, you've got a story. Everybody I talk to for more than 5-10 minutes, I think, you've got a story. You've got something good to say here, right? Whether they do or not, time will tell when I get them on the podcast. But everybody that I've spoken to has something good to say. And there's always a message in what they're trying to say. It's always sort of different, but there's good advice even I take from it. Every episode, it's amazing. But Esther was one of those ones. I learned some stuff about her. It was good to be able to sort of almost not give back to her, because I felt like she's been giving me so many nice coffees and schooners over the years. So it was just good to have her on, and that was probably my first one of the ones I went and got to do it. I wish I had video then, but we did it live, in the Pocket in one of the booths. It was really, really cool. Sort of G'd me up for potential set ideas down the track, which is something just on the side working on right now. We've got a lot of stuff. We need some cashola, but we got a lot of good things in the pipeline. So yeah, Esther was good. If you're ever in Moffat Beach, go and check out the Pocket, buy a beer, buy a coffee, go do that. I'm gonna take a quick sip. Drying up here. Fucking motor mouth. The next one, Isaac John. This one was the one that, I'll be honest, it gave me a little bit of fear going into it. I was a bit nervous, and I kind of doubted myself initially, not before the podcast, but I probably said the story, so I'll run through it really quick. But Isaac Johns runs YKTR, aka You Know The Rules, ex-footy player, rolls with a bunch of ex-footy players, and he's into the media game, he's into the fashion game heavily, makes a lot of content / art, a lot of stuff. So a guy that I've been following for quite some time, taking little bits of information and guidance and all this sort of stuff. Saw he did a post, he said, hey, taking a few spots for podcast guests. I'm interested. Hit me up. I honestly wrote it off. I was like, nah, this ain't going to work out for me. Whatever. Put him on this pedestal. 2 nights later, I'm thinking, fuck that. You know what I mean? The self-worth must have been high that night. I thought, fuck it. Send him a message. 2 days later, hey man, sweet, we're on. Got these time slots. Bang, boom, roll with it. Rocked up and did it like one morning before work. He's down in Sydney, got on real early, did it. Had some fucking audio issues, all these sort of things we battled through, got a nice little 40-minute podcast out of it. I rushed that one because I had a bit of a time limit, but it was really good. I felt like, again, learned a lot out of that podcast. He had so much good information. He's one of these people like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but he's a sponge, right? In the way that like he goes out and seeks out all this information, soaks it all up, and then, you know, you can ring him out a little bit and he's fucking giving it all away, right, for free. And that's what's really cool about him. That, like, frankly, I actually downloaded one of his How to Start a Podcast guides, a free ebook that he did. That was like one of the first things I did when I started this show. I don't even know if I told him that. But that was just kind of one of the things, right, that I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. But yeah, that was a good podcast. Again, learnt a lot. He's a great man. Still follow his content. Still listen to his podcast. He's now signing fucking athletes, NRL stars and things like that. So I'm interested to see where he goes. He's kind of reminds me that it's going in the direction of maybe like a Barstool Sports if you follow that in America, which is a very big thing now. So yeah, interesting dude, and he's got a lot to say, and it's all good. So go and check Isaac John out. The Ice Project is his podcast. Next, man, we're going to be done with the guests very shortly. For anyone that's getting bored of this, I hope you're not. Ty Tate, Built to Spill Wine, and the singer and riff lord from Master Leonard, the metal band. So that was a cool one. Again, just someone I followed online. There's a recurring theme here, right? Someone I followed online. I thought, you're very cool. He was one of those guys that, you know, when you take a step back from your life, and even though I love myself, or I'm learning to really love myself, he was one of those guys that I was like, you're actually really cool, and you remind me of me, but in a different way. You know what I mean? He's got like the tattoos. He's actually in a band. I've always wanted to be in a band, and he's got this like booze company. I thought that's really cool because I like booze, and there's things I've thought about. You know, those like people that when you have an idea, it's almost like they've executed it like a year before you've thought about it, and you're like, hang on, but that was my idea. He's kind of one of those guys, and I mean that in the best possible way. But just honestly, such a lovely bloke. It was really good to talk to him. Again, a lot of cool stories, a lot of good information that he passed on, really down to earth. I ordered some stuff from him. He stuck in some other stuff for me. So they're just good people. I know they're probably one of these companies that probably did it tough through the COVID thing potentially, but they look to be going really well. They're doing some really good collaborations with musicians and stuff like that. But just a good dude, just a general dude. So I can't wait to actually order some more booze, firstly, but secondly, can't wait for Master Leonard to come up to Queensland. I'm very keen to see them live, you know what I mean? And I could go full groovy. I might even get a backstage pass, do you know what I mean? That's the kind of friends we are now. Second last guest for 2021, the man himself, the local Caloundra Lord, Uncle Hingy. So this was a good one. Hingy mentioned on that show that we had talked about doing this from when I got a haircut when I first started the show, right? Anyway, fast forward to like an episode like 117 or 18 or some shit like that, and he's finally on the show. So we flipped the fucking studio around, we cracked some red, we cracked some sour beers, we cracked a lot more red. We got nice and liquored on that podcast, and we continued to do it after in the green room, you know, aka the couch downstairs. And it was just good to have him on there. Again, cool stories, a vibrant character, a good character. Honestly, he'd wear a shirt like this, and he'd appreciate that I'm wearing this right now. But he's just a good dude. I've known him for some time. You know, we've drunk together, we've smoked together, we've vomited together, done weird things like that, got naked and stuff together. Just a good dude, and I really like him, got a lot of love for him, and I'm hoping we're going to cross paths more this year, you know, go and see some bands and stuff like that. But again, if you're ever up in Caloundra, Bullcock Street, he works out of Beach Beat, he's a barber, but more than that, he's a great person. He's a great barber, but more than that, he's just a great individual, good chat, he's always got the beers on ice. He does this thing with a towel, it's hot, it's good, it's so nice. Uncle Hingy, go and check him out. Really, really big fan of his work and just a fucking lovely guy. That, of course, brings me to my last guest for 2021, which I frankly gushed over him earlier in the episode. But Smitty, we finally cut it up on a podcast. It was one of those ones where, I'll be frank with you, I'd sort of not wrote him off by any means. It was one of those ones I thought, there's a time zone, there's this, there's that. He's big on guests, and I wasn't as big on guests as he was. He's like, good to do a podcast, man. So he pushed it. Frankly, I'm so glad he did. He pushed it a lot more than I did. I will say that out loud. And I was just like, fuck, why am I not being more gung-ho with this? And it must be one of those things like, hey, I want to talk to more people. The whole show's about talking, not just me, but it should be about me talking to everybody and anybody. So I thought, fuck it. And this one day I said, yeah, let's do it, man. Like, I'm keen. And it just felt like it had gone on, and I felt like I was sort of dragging the chain because I couldn't make the time work and things like that. We did one podcast, and it was like, why did I waste like 6 months of just dicking around when we had such a good time? We've done a second one. Now we're doing one every month. And I feel like it was just like, maybe that's how it works. Time. You can't fuck with time. But yeah, again, just very glad I met that guy. It was really cool. I can't even frankly remember how we crossed paths, but we talk about it on ours, so go and listen to them if you haven't already checked it out. I'm not gonna fucking rehash that shit. But just a good dude, and he's killing it, frankly. He's getting some good guests on. He's just got a new one coming out with Pete's Diary. If you're on TikTok or on Instagram and you love guitar, go and check out Pete's Diary. He's a really interesting dude, and he's a fucking shredder. So I'm actually really keen to hear that story, because he's got he's had some medical issues. I won't go into that. That's Smitty's potty. But what I'm saying is he gets some killer guests and he gets some great shows. So I'm very, very excited to work with the man this year. I feel like we're gonna hit it off this year, and we're gonna do some mental things. So there could be some fucking weirdness on the podcast this year. That episode 2, I felt like it severely elevated from episode 1. And if you are still listening at this point, which I'm sure you are, I fucked up the audio. If you did listen to the last episode, I did fuck up the audio. So apologies for that. This is going to be perfect audio, perfect video. Everything's going to be perfect. But he fucked me up. Normally I run the ship, obviously. And he got on, he had it all set up, and I was like, can you hear me? Yeah, cool, man. Bang, record. It wasn't until an hour and 20, I was like, I didn't switch the mic on the Zoom thing. So yeah, my bad. But anyway, that was the list of guests for 2021. I really, really appreciate everyone for getting on the show last year. I had awesome times with you all. I'm glad that there's fucking Jared and Smitty out of that lot that are continuing to do more potties with. It's sick. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff. So I've got this show tonight, obviously. That takes me to my next point. We've got That Sounds Sick, right? That is my new music show. I've been talking about it for a few weeks now. I just haven't had any time to do the first episode. But I'm going to do the first episode later this week, launch it, see how it goes, working on a little logo change and stuff like that for the episode. So there's a few moving parts to that one. But yeah, going to have a bit of a breakdown on my favorite albums from 2021. Start nice and light. My favorite albums from 2021, which will then take me to my first guest. I've got a guest next week, Mo Mayhem, ex-Hell City Glamours is how I know him, but he's in a band called Mucho Sonar. He produces records. He's a shit hot guitarist. He's a huge music enthusiast. He's really into politics and a lot of things in between, movie buff, all these things. Again, just someone that I've known for years, sort of on and off, more of an acquaintance, and I've sort of gushed over his band years ago when I used to go and just get absolutely shit-faced on the bourbons. And yeah, finally getting him on the show. It's just one of those things. So not sure if that's going to be done under That Sounds Sick, or I'm going to have the first guest later in the month, which I'm just waiting on a date right now. But yeah, really, really keen. International musician, so I'm very fucking psyched. So That Sounds Sick is one of my big ideas for the year. I love music. Very passionate about music. Honestly, I've always wanted to be a rock star, right? That was the thing. I think at the end of the high school, when you do the school magazine bullshit, what do you want to be when you grow up as? It's a rock star. I already feel like a rock star. I want to continue to be a rock star. I want to wear flash as fuck shirts in my home and have just fucking boss ass hair looking like Elvis and such. But yeah, went into a job interview as an electrician, passed it all, killed it. I was basically Einstein, ticking all the boxes. Yeah, dude, I can do electricity, whatever, big deal. Whatever, I can do it, not a big deal. That was me doing a drill sound, pretty pathetic. Gets the interview. So what are some of your other hobbies? What are some of your passions? I said, well, I love music, play guitar, love chopping it up like that. Would you like a career in music? Says the interviewer. I said, yeah, dude, like, who wouldn't? I just told you I love music and love playing guitar. Like, yeah, I would. Anyway, unbeknownst to me, that's why I didn't get the job. So, yeah, I've always felt like a rock star. Frankly, doing this podcast is the closest thing I've ever got to becoming a rock star. So, yeah, I just want to pay it back. I want to pay it forward my way. Music means a lot to me, and that's why we're doing That Sounds Sick. So we're going to do probably anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes a month, depending on how hard I go on it. But there's going to be a lot. Generally speaking, will probably be guest episodes. We're going to try and line up a different musician at least once a month to join the show. I've got 2 in the pipeline right now. That's not including Mo. So there's a fair bit cracking on. That'll be a mixture of Australian musicians and overseas musicians. I was just trying to think of like the rest of the world. So good time to be me. And if you're a musician that wants to fucking talk some shit, get it on, because that show's going to be very music heavy. But I'm sure there'll be other stuff that comes up. So That Sounds Sick. That's what it's called. I've told that. First episode coming later in this week. We'll let this one roll for a few days. Later in this week, might post it over the weekend. Not sure yet. But yeah, Jesus Christ, what the fuck has been going on? 2021 was a crazy year. As I said, for me, felt like a relatively good year. If you're going from the whole gratitude point of view, and yeah, it was a good year, right? I've got so much to be grateful for. My family, my daughter, my job, that was safe during the COVID, but I got to watch my daughter grow. I got to do things with Beck. We did interesting things. We did relationship counseling. We learned a lot about each other. I felt like we embraced each other more. We loved each other more. There was some very interesting things, Let's do a bit of a review, right? I keep fucking rubbing my nose here. 2022 resolution. I want to stop rubbing my nose on the fucking podcast. It's disgusting. But we might go through some goals quickly at some point in the next 3 to 5 fucking minutes, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, 2021. What a year. We went out of 2020 going, you know what? COVID, it's gone. It's fucked. The year's getting back to normal. Unfortunately, 2021 wasn't the year that it got back to normal. In fact, I think 2021 got worse in the way that COVID sort of came. A lot of states in Australia went into lockdown. America's been fucked. England's been fucked. A lot of the world's been fucked. There's the Alpha, which was, I think, the first fucking COVID thing. Then the Delta came, which was the really bad one. Now, there's Omicron, which is not as bad, but it spreads really fast. So there's all these things that are happening. So that just keeps kicking on. Of course, it was, vaccinations and all this sort of stuff. 2021, if I had to sum it up in one statement, I'd say it's the year of opinion and divide. I really do, and I don't want to sound like a pessimist there. My take on opinions is that there's so much information out there. Frankly, and myself included, people are just over consuming information to the point of it makes me feel physically ill. But it's crazy. You can go onto the internet, open up a million different tabs. You go on Instagram, you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, you go on TikTok, bang, 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 opinions of this, opinions of that. You're wrong if you don't get the vaccine. You're right if you get the vaccine. All these different things. But it's one of those years is that people just have these huge opinions. People that never even, frankly, fucking said a peep. Never heard anything. They were mousy little figures in the corner. They've even got opinions now, right? And unfortunately, I feel like it's divided a lot of people, right? I know I've said a few heated things over the year, most of it in jest on the podcast, but even in my own private circles, I've said certain things. I've voiced my opinions. And then people have said the exact opposite back, which I always appreciate. I get that. But sometimes it's not reciprocated, right? So it has been an interesting year in that regard. 2021, the year of opinion and divide. But hopefully people have learned something along the way. You know what I mean? I will say the government, maybe kept changing the goalpost here and there. Be all right. Do this. We'll do the lockdown. We'll get back to normal. Get the vaccine. It'll be all right. It'll cure things. Get back to normal. The mask, wear that. Then you don't have to wear it. It's back to normal. Actually, pull it out of the drawer again. Wear it. It's not back to normal. You need 1 vaccine. You need 2 vaccine. You need 3 vaccine. 485 vaccines later. You know what I mean? And that's not me shitting on the vaccine thing because, you get the vaccine, cool, done. You wear the mask, cool, done. You bite all the laws, cool, done. But it just seems to be going on and on and on. So the whole idea of going back to normal, I don't want to sound like a pessimist. I don't even know if normal was that good before it. This is the new normal. There's new things that are happening. In fact, we might be able to create a fucking better normal, right? Maybe people have gone and woken up and gone, you know what? Actually, I wasn't living the greatest life before COVID, and before I had certain things and my privileges taken away, and it's not that bad. I still got my job, and now I can work at home, and I can spend more time with my wife and my kids, and frankly, when I'm not that busy, I might be able to get my washing done and spend a bit of time, so I don't have to fucking act like a peasant on a Saturday morning and do my washing then. Just little things like that. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It was an interesting year. I think people went into it, myself included, going, it's going to get better. You know, at the fucking, the ball coming down that thing in America, fucking whatever that is, Times Square or whatever, 2020 to 2021, bang, 12:01 a.m. on 2021. We're cool. We're right. We're on the mend. And it just wasn't like that. Individually though, right? If I can strip it back and put on my fucking motivational speaker hat, individually, you can change. You can do anything you want, right? You might be hindered and stopped in certain ways. There's certain ideas that I have, right? Big physical goals, right? And sometimes right now they probably won't come to fruition right now in this current world that we're living in. But that's okay. I can keep chipping away at them, keep saving for them. I can keep learning about them. And eventually, when the iron's hot, we'll strike. And that will be ready and we'll know. And it'll be the right time. So it's not all fucking doom and gloom, right? I will say, coming out of the end of last year, coming out of Christmas and in New Year's, Christmas is hectic. I love it. Genuinely, said on the last podcast, I drink heavily for like a week with the caffeine. Fucks me. It's no good for my brain anymore. There's like huge panic attack and I fall down. And then that's it. And I rebuild from there, right? But I honestly really dug deep on the turning of New Year's Eve. And I know that's so cliche, resolutions and stuff. I'm a resolution wanker. But you've got to create some goals, right? If you're that way inclined. And people are probably doing a lot of goals. Maybe they're not writing them down, but they're thinking about them, right? Maybe they're a bit too afraid to talk about it out loud, but they're trying to do it. Everyone's trying to lose a bit of weight, which is not bad, right? If that's the time that you get off your ass in January, go and do it. I myself am doing some fucking running and doing all sorts of shit right now. But I really went into 2022 with trying to be like incredibly grateful and just maintaining happiness, try to fuck off anger and stuff like that. It's a challenge, man. It can be really, really hard, right, to maintain a certain mindset all the time. But don't get unrealistic, right, and think that I'm going to be happy all the time, 24/7, 365, going to be happy, no sadness, no anger, because that's bullshit. You can't ever do that, right? But I'm just saying, like, if you know you've got some weaknesses, just own up to them. You know, you might be too egotistical over here, right? Just own up to that too. People need to start loving themselves and really, really looking in. Jordan Peterson has this quote, and I like it. And I know that he said it like a feminist thing, and people took it the wrong way at the time. But he's a genius, and I stand by that statement. And I'd like anyone to challenge me on it if they don't agree. But he said people need to start cleaning their own rooms before they basically go out and try to fix the world or clean the rooms world. They probably butchered that quote, but it was basically like people need to go and clean their own rooms. And that wasn't like, hey, stay at home and actually clean your own rooms. But it means all these people are chasing things that are really somewhat out of their control, getting too carried away with these things that are just giant. They're actually not going to do anything about it. They're just talking, it's hot air and they're going on. Hey, come down off your pedestal, look inside, go and clean your room. What is it you really want to do? Why are you not doing this, which is making you look at that? You know what I mean? There's these sort of things. So yeah. Anyway, 2021. It was interesting. What happened to 2021? God, there were some world issues. Obviously, COVID was ongoing. I won't talk about that. They rolled out the vaccine. It's going all right. You know what I mean? Joe Rogan's on Spotify. I don't know if that happened in 2021, but he's on there. It's weird. I've had to change platforms too. The US got a new president. Donald Trump went, Joe Biden went in. I felt bad for America in the election. I really did. I felt like it was like, who do you pick? It's like the best of a bad bunch here. You know what I mean? I don't hate Donald Trump by any means. I don't hate Biden by any means. If I look at them two side by side, I like Trump more than Biden. I've got to say that. That's weird. Oh, I'll probably get crucified for saying that. Oh, I'm worried. But yeah, something about Biden that's just incredibly creepy. Donald Trump, equally creepy, but in a nicer, creepier way. So yeah, poor America, they got that. There, of course, was the Capitol riots. How good was that? America was just pissed, man. They were pissed when that happened. Trump's out, Biden's in. Fuck this, we'll storm the Capitol. And they did. You know what I mean? A lot of people got arrested and stuff. There was a guy, I remember he was shirtless, and he was wearing a fucking goblet thing with horns on it. And it was just like, okay, it was good to see they got dressed up for it. Like, really went, we're not going incognito for this. We're out. We're storming the Capitol dressed as a fucking retarded-ass buffalo. So it was crazy. Today I actually pulled up a thing. I literally was like that cockhead that was like, Major events in 2021, because when I sit back, I'll be honest, and I don't know if this is a selfish thing, I can only think about the things that I've done, or the things that are sort of around me in an indirect, direct way, things that happen with Beck or Arabella or my family in general, or bands and shit that I like, or movies that I watch. But generally speaking, you're like, yeah, what did happen in the world? You know what I mean? Watching this video was incredibly bleak. I mean, it was just COVID, there was just fires, there was fucking a lot of floods, all this sort of shit. Of course, we had Oprah Winfrey. That was a huge event in 2021, if you cared to fucking give a shit. Oprah Winfrey sat down with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Oh my God, you know what I mean? He's married Meghan, and it was just, Haz and Megs, and it was just, wasn't happening. And, Oprah Winfrey, the GOAT, she's gone, nah, get him on the show. We got to expose some shit. The world needs to know about the royals. You know what I mean? They've been doing some stuff. They've been singling out my girl Megs Markle, and it's just whatever. I didn't watch it, honestly. It didn't give me. I didn't even get a little bulge in my pants. The idea. It was just one of those things. Anyway, it was just one of those things. But honest to God, I can't even remember what else happened in the world. We had the Melbourne Demons, they won the AFL. We had the Penrith Panthers, they won the NRL. That was good. I felt UFC had some fucking cracker fights. That was good. They brought back the crowds, the pay-per-views. That was sick. We really enjoyed that. I had a great time with that. But yeah, it was just one of those things. Got to spend time with friends. I had a good time. The podcast grew. We did more merch on the podcast, did we not? We did more merch. That was good. I released the hats. There's hats right here. Hats right here. Got the 2 hats. We've got the 2 jumpers. I did some fucking t-shirt prototypes. We might have some more merch in the works. Who knows? We've got some ideas. I want to do a little trucker hat, actually. I've been loving trucker hats. But yeah, we did more merch. What else happened to the show? We've got the show on YouTube. I'm sitting here talking to you right now, looking at you. You're not looking at me, but I'm looking at you. Or maybe you are looking at me. I just can't see. That's the beautiful thing about the YouTube. So, yeah, there's that. I'm learning. Learn how to edit a video. Poorly, but I learned how to edit a video. So that was cool too. Crazy. My daughter grew up. She's in daycare now. More than half the week. She's getting so cheeky, so beautiful, so amazing. Just all these things, right? It was just crazy to watch a human being that you were responsible for, are responsible for, just watching them grow. That's crazy, and I don't want to sound like an insane person, but it was just one of those things that you're just like, wow, this is amazing. So that was cool. We of course got pregnant again. We've got a second child on the way. That's amazing. That'll be May. I'm gonna have my hands full, just juggling it. Fucking podcast life, biggest year yet for the podcast. And I'm just adding another kid into the mix. I like to be busy. I like to be productive more, but it seems like I'm a little more busy than productive at the moment. But yeah, so we got pregnant again. I'm excited about that. Got to grow with Beck. That was good. Got to love more. We did some relationship counseling. Frankly, I wish we kept it up. You learned a lot. It was a good forum. Anyone that's having any issues with their partner, big or small, I would recommend it. I would recommend it for a lot of reasons, because you can be a bit of a cheapskate in there and go, you know what, I might just sort of get a bit of singular sort of therapy here while I'm at it. But yeah, of course I've got the podcast. That is my therapy, right? I come on here and I fucking whoosh, gosh, and then chill out with a fucking metaphorical cigarette after the show and a little whiskey. But yeah, there was that. But it was a great year with Beck. We went through a lot. We went through a lot of different financial things. We bought a new car, sold a car, paid things off, made some money. We opened an investment account. That was pretty cool. Learning how to invest now. That's an interesting thing. I've got enough money in there now to go, you know what? I'm in now. I don't want to take this money out. Like I'm in. Any bit of money I can get, pay this, invest it, do that. I'm like Warren Buffett. I read like 6 hours of newspapers a day. Invest. Stocks. Don't know why I'm talking like this. Buy a new cool shirt. Invest. That's my investment voice. So yeah, I did that. I did Dry July again. I'm going to be doing it again this year. I liked having a month off the piss. While, yes, it was challenging in parts, it's amazing to do. My body needs it. I think I've finally come to terms with drinking in the way that, like, I love it, but does it always serve me, right? I get carried away. I know I get carried away. I know that I can have 1 or 2 drinks and go, tastes pretty fucking good. Might have 13 more. So that's a thing, right? I'm aware of that now. So I'm not drinking tonight. I'm trying to stay off the piss. through the week, at least some weekends, you know. It's my birthday tomorrow. So yeah, okay, don't shoot me. I'll have a drink. All right? But there's that. So we'll be doing Dry July again. I got some friends that are doing like 3 months off the booze, so I might even have to join them, you know. So there's that too. So there's a lot happening. But for real, 2021, we ticked off a few goals. I don't have all the goals in front of me right now. I'm looking right now at my 2022 goals. And there's some good ones here. Ones that I did in 2021, which we're elaborating on, but we've got some job-related ones. We've got some side hustle-related ones. We've got some podcast-related ones, exercise ones, some fun ones. You know, see more live gigs. I bought a ticket to the Bronx, bought a ticket to Idols, and I'm seeing Nashville Pussy in September. So I've got 3 fucking things. Already I've seen, well, fuck COVID. Hopefully it stays away and the bands can actually come. But pending that I get to see those 3 bands, that was 3 more bands than I saw last year. That's a goal ticked, people. I'm a go-getter, right? I'm a fucking motivational speaker on weekends. I'm like a poor man's Tony Robbins, right? So, yeah, and I paint a picture. I'm going to paint a picture this year. I've thought about it all last year. I just need a fucking canvas and some paints. I'll do this and do that and blah. I want to be a painter, you know. How hard is it? Go and buy a canvas, go and buy some paint, set the cunt up on an easel and paint. I could do weird painting, you know what I mean? I could paint with my hands, my feet, my nipples. I could paint with my dick. It doesn't matter. I'm going to start with the brush though. I'm not going to start with the dick. But I really want to do that. So that's a goal we're going to do this year. But yeah, I feel good. And of course, maybe pop the question this year. That's a big one. We did some investigating. Any engaged people out there, love to hear from you. But it was a pretty good year. I will say 2021 was a good year. I had a good time. There was some fucking great music. There was some fucking great movies, better yet. Some really good music come out of the pandemic. That was the one thing. It was shit about the music industry being sort of fucked up and smashed in half. But a lot of these bands were pissed off and they wrote some fucking amazing albums, which we'll be talking about on episode 1 of That Sounds Sick later in this week. So there was a fair chunk of shit that happened, right? There was a lot of stuff that happened this year, and it's going to just continue to get better and better in 2022. Now, things that the government do, things that your neighbor does, all these people, whatever it is, mandates, this and that, you can't do that. You got to sit down at fucking shows and stuff like that, you know? Whatever it is, that's out of my control. All I can do is what I'm doing and just keep focusing on that. That's what it is. Poor man's Tony Robbins. Thank you very much. Take that information as you will. So yeah, 2022, it's a year of me. What more can I say? More loud shirts, more great hair, more amazing podcasts, more guests, more love, more family time. It's going to be sick. I've got a fucking lot of shit here to talk about tonight. I don't know if I'm going to get through it. I'm going to have to split this up. I've literally got so many things. Let's do a real quick movie recap because, you know, I love movies. Documentary, 14 Peaks. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's fucking amazing. Unreal. A guy climbs 14 of the highest peaks in the world in 7 months. It was amazing. Ridiculous. Saw House of Gucci on Saturday night in gold class. Loving it. Lush. It's Beck's birthday on the 8th, mine on the 18th. We treated ourselves. House of Gucci, man. Quite long and very boring, I'll be honest. But the outfits were great and the acting was great and it was a good story, a real story, a sad story. So I'd probably give it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I did think it was incredibly long, too long. And it was at that point that I was incredibly grateful that we chose to see it in gold class. And I was really relaxed and nodded off like 4 times. But just incredibly stoked. Yeah. So much. Just looking through here at my notes, going, what do I want to do next? You know, another realization for 2021. I may have said this before, but I don't think I have. The thumb emoji response, the little blue fucking thumb, jam it up your ass if you're using it. I realized in 2021, I fucking hate the thumb emoji response. It's just something that I do not like. My mum does it. A lot of my family does it. I got friends that do it. Jordan, he did it the other day, and I'm like, I got people from work that do it. And I'm like, am I the only one not doing it? How often in real life do you sit there and, you know, someone says something to you and you go, it's a real wanker move. It's a real dick move. It's not a thumbs up. It's a thumbs down move. So I just like to think to these people, if you're doing that as much online as you are in real life, you've got a problem. But no one's doing it in real life as much as they're doing it online. And that to me is a mad problem. So yeah, just one of those things. it was a 2021 realization. I hate the thumbs up emoji. Facebook, your next update, remove it. If you could do that, sincerely, King of the Couch, that would be amazing. But yeah, bit of stuff happened in the news recently. Novak Djokovic apparently bodged his visa entry. Not sure if he did. You never know. I don't trust the media. He's unvaxxed. Big deal. Doesn't bother me. But you can't get into the country if you're unvaxxed. Whatever. I mean, I guess that's rules. Whatever. Don't want to go down that. Don't want to talk about the vaccine. I'm sick of talking about vaccine. In fact, I'm sick of talking about COVID. I've got a breakdown here of a doc. I'm going to do that next week. We're not going to do that tonight. Another thing, we're not going to do that tonight. I wanted to talk about this. I'm just rocking along. I'm going to keep it under an hour tonight. Just on an hour. We'll cut it up. Two things. I've got a lot of punchable offences here. I'm going to do an episode next week and we'll talk about punchable offences. And I got another thing about comedy. We'll talk about that next week too. There was the government, the religious business, Hillsong, and the music industry. It's been a shit show over the last week. So I love music, and I don't normally get too jacked up publicly over things that are happening in the news, right? I don't. I might, privately, I might. Every now and then I'll say something cheeky on the podcast. We talk about a lot on the podcast if you've been listening for a long time. But yeah, Hillsong versus the music industry. Now the music have started a industry supergroup called Thrillsong. But basically, long story short, the New South Wales government said, hey, music, we know that you've been fucked up for a long time now, and we know we've just started to let you come out of the house and start doing some gigs again, and you know, the vaccine was going to help you and all this sort of stuff, but turns out we fucked up, we lied, and we need you to stay inside, do no shows whatsoever. Unbeknownst to everyone at the time, that the religious goons, Hillsong, you know, the weirdos, the guys that they sing and dance and carry on, they're kind of like this new school, young person's badass church. It's like when you want to be cool and be into rock, but you're also very religious. I think that's the fucking hole that Hillsong fills. They of course had that guy overseas. He was a bit of a pederast, and he sort of touches kids and stuff like that. He was affiliated with Hillsong. You know the one. We all know the one. Anyway, they are allowed to do their thing, right? So they actually had a full-on religious music festival over the weekend. There's singing, there's dancing, there's no mask, all these things that the government said they're going to abide by, and blah, 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 blah. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure ScoMo gave them like 42 million. Of all the industries that need help, religion doesn't need help. I mean, they've got the financial backing from God himself, right? So he is endless supply of cash, if you believe in that, which all these people do. You know, he can do anything. He can do no wrong to the religious folk. But the government don't need it. People go there, they pay a little money to go to church, the bastards go around, it's ridiculous. There's always heaps of kickbacks. So I was just real fucking G'd up about that, hey, you know what I mean? And it's crazy that the government can go and support something. It's like capitalism. I hate it in that way, where like these people have a shitload of money, so let's just go give them a shitload more money. These people have not a lot of money, let's not help them out, right? Not to mention the arts does create a lot of fucking money for the government as well, I'm sure. The industry, the Australia on a whole, right? The world, for fuck's sake. But it was just one of those things, you know what I mean? And it just really rubbed me the wrong way. I feel really bad for musicians. I really did. And the fact that, you know, I don't really have a lot of love for religion and stuff like that, and these organizations that people go and just be weird at. You know what I mean? I can be weird at a lot of things, but I would never be weird at a religious concert. It's just, there's an underlying, I've done multi-level marketing. It's very much tarred with the same brush. There's an ulterior motive there, right? Music's different. There's no ulterior motive besides, hey, we fucking make music and we want you to listen to it. That's it. Kind of like me with the podcast. Hey, I do a podcast. I want you to listen to it. Maybe buy some merch. I'm a rock star, see? But this religious crap is very much like, hey, come with us. Come believe in God. You know what I mean? Give us money for your fucking Sunday service. Give us money here. Give us money there. Give us money everywhere. They're weird. You know what I mean? They touch people in the day inappropriately. I don't like it. So anyway, I wanted to shed some light on that tonight because it really got under my skin. It was one of those things that got under my skin. Pardon me. I'm losing my voice. It's my body's way of telling me, hey, you got to wrap it up here, motherfucker. I will end on this. This was a funny one, I thought. I really like this one. Mike Amor and Rebecca Madden from Channel 7 News, they got caught. I like this. I'll break it down. But they got caught going off air, but on air. They're sitting in the chairs that they would do when they're reading the fucking bullshit news anyway. And they said some things about Novak Djokovic. Novaks, as the mandators call him. Mike Amor labeled Novak Djokovic a lying, sneaky arsehole in leaked video. So he's there doing his thing. That's not him wanking two dicks. That's him, his papers. Rebecca Madden's over there, and they're just going, he's an arsehole. He lied. All this sort of stuff. Keep in mind that there's cameras all around, right? It's like if I just hit stop here and just decided to talk. That would be okay because it's one camera that I'm in control of and I know what's going on. But there's all these cameras. I'm sure there's all these people here. I've seen what a news set looks like. There's things going on and it's just like, yeah, okay. But basically, you know what I mean? They've just gone off. You've got a fucking bullshit excuse, and then he fell over his own fucking lies, Rebecca said. That's just what happens, right? All this sort of stuff. He's an arsehole, Mike says. He's an arsehole. I will say Novak, regardless of what his stance is on vaccines and shit like that, he did donate a lot of money for the Australian bushfires, so he's not all the way a fucking arsehole. He's a top bloke, you know. He's a great tennis player too, evidently. But the news director for Channel 7 come out, all these sort of things. It's sneaky. It was a sneaky act for someone to film this and put it out there. It was a private conversation between two colleagues and it, you know, shouldn't be leaked to the world. If I'm having a private conversation in a workspace and someone overhears it, I'm sure as shit it might go to the boss too, right? It's just the way it works. You shouldn't do it in that environment, firstly. Yeah, it probably was sneaky for someone to pull out the phone, but it wasn't even on a phone. It looked like professional fucking camera footage. So some fucking Joe Blow's probably doing his job going, Mike, Rebecca, I'm still rolling here as part of our thing, you know what I mean, our curriculum. And they're going, these guys are just fucking losing it. You know what I mean, let's just wind it back because, frankly, the news is built on this shit. They're built on leaked videos. They're built on people going out and rolling someone else, sending in an anonymous video. Yeah, footy players get it. Celebrities get it. All these people fucking get it, you know? So they're the last ones to say, hey, it's a sneaky private act. It shouldn't have been done. You know, the news outlets are always buying footage and doing it, putting it, ramming it down, then trying to get a hot exclusive with that person to fucking make more money, you know what I mean? The eyes and ear holes of your mum and dad and your grandparents, they're just glued every night. Oh, what are they doing us? What's Channel 7 telling us? It's crazy, you know what I mean? The 7 News director, he said he won't be leaving any stone unturned to find out who he did it. He's on a warpath, this guy. You got to say that publicly, right? He can't be like, yeah, they said it, fuck it, whatever. But they did say it. So, you know, it's crazy. It was just one of those things, and he's losing it. But I just found it incredibly funny, right? How the news essentially is made up of this, right? Taking information and spreading it to a nation of people. When someone takes news from the news themselves and wants to spread it, it's like, you shouldn't do that. It's deceitful. It's sneaky. Ugh, don't do that. I mean, the rule of thumb is just don't put it on the teleprompter, you know what I mean? If you put it on the teleprompter, Mike and Rebecca will read it, just like Ron Burgundy. It's just, that's it. Anyway, I think that's the show tonight. I feel like I need to wrap it up here. The voice is going a bit hoarse. We've got so much to talk about, but I'm not going to keep going on about it because there's so much. Even some funny stuff. Actually, I had this one thing. It's a nice thing, right? I always sit there. I'll end on this. This is a nice thing. I'll always sit there and I wonder. I'm sitting there in a meeting. I look down. My sausage dog Frank's always there, right? And he looks hungry. When someone looks at you with those eyes, those little puppy dog eyes, you go, you look hungry, bro. And I'm always giving him food. Bit of steak, bit of salmon, bit of whatever, cheese, whatever. No fruit and veg. You're not going to have that. He's a dog. He's a carnivore. But I always wonder, are dogs actually hungry? Like, are they just going to eat until they explode? Are they that sort of, you know, thing? Is that what they do? And then those people that sit there, right? Because I've been with people, I know these people that will sit there that won't feed their dog when they're just sitting there. That to me is psychotic behavior. If you're a stone cold killer at that point, if you can sit there, eat a full meal in front of your dog and not give it one single bite, and they're going, Fido, he's not hungry. I fed him this morning and possibly this evening. I fed him once, maybe twice. He's not hungry. He just wants it. He's a guts. Meanwhile, you're sitting there with a plate that, knowing myself, it's way too full. You don't need that much. It's not a handheld portion of protein. It's a slab of protein. You know what I mean? There's potatoes that are overflowing. You don't need that. treat it like a famine, all right? You don't need that. Your dog, he needs a bite. Psychotic behavior. If you can do that, if you can look a dog in the eye and say, I'm not feeding you, cunt. No way. No way in hell. That's crazy. And I love it. This is probably science. I'm sure this can be myth busted in about 2.5 seconds. But at what point do human beings go, dogs can't eat certain food? Garlic, grapes, avocado, chocolate, onion, all these things, they can't do it. You know what I mean? They can't do it. I'm assuming that there's been a lot of scientific studies done on this. And, you know, even potentially to the point of like a CSI dog special, you know, there's a dog body, the coroner's there, cause of death, garlic, you know. Maybe that's a thing, maybe not, but I don't know. What I really wanted to highlight is if you're eating food, a nice plate of food in front of your dog, flick him a bit. He's your boy. Flick him a bit. You'll feel better. Anyway, that's the show. That's episode 125, King of the Couch. I'm very, very stoked to be back. The hair's going fucking bunter. No, I'm very, very stoked to be back, and I really, really appreciate everyone that's listened to the show over the last year. Since the start of time, if you're a new listener, old listener, whatever, I'm incredibly grateful to you all that take the time out of your day and actually listen to me, whether you have a laugh, whether you think about things, I don't know, whatever, take some advice, whatever. Anyone that bought merch in 2021, really, really appreciate that. There's going to be more coming this year. A lot more fucking podcasts coming this year. A lot more guests. Heaps of stuff. A lot more YouTube. Who knows where? Come back to me in 12 months. We'll see how we go. But that's episode 125. We got That Sounds Sick, episode 1 coming later in the week. And then next week, we've got Mo Mayhem from Mucho Sonar and XL City Glamours, musician, producer, general cool dude. And I can't wait to speak to him on the show. We're going to have a lot to talk about, me and him. I'm burping. You got to burp. You got to burp for the first solo back. But that's me, King of the Couch, episode 125. Hope you have a great week, and I love you all.
No matter who you are, or what you're going through, there's always someone.